Chaitanya Mano Vishnu Bhutale Shamrupada Mayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shiva Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ravanatham Vitam Tam Sadjivam Sadhutam Savadutam Parijana Satam Krishna Kirtan Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Ravita Shri Vishakam Tamsa Namo Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Purnami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Chane Nirvishesha Shunyadi Pasadestani Vansakapadeva Vaishnava Sindhu Esa Patitanam Pavana Vaishnava Vedana Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prempadayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namni Vamsunama Hare Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinvani Vapate Bhutsa Vapuranta Radha Kantanisita Satkanchan Gaurangi Saradhe Vamsari Visuddhi Sudevi Parmami Hare Nirjana Sayanitra Paramatma Nibal Vedar Subhadra Namdena Saitanya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shri Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram. Hare Krishna. So voice is low. Is it like that?
Now it's good, Prabhu.
Good, na? Okay. So maximum what I can do is read. I can put mic nearby. Okay, fine. So I think we were in chapter number 12 as far as I remember.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Okay. So which verse?
13 and 14, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Oh, 13 and 14. Okay. So we had gone through this different levels of bhakti. So we talked about Smaranatmaka bhakti. They're the best. If one cannot do that, then there is a Mananatmaka bhakti, where one contemplates on the scriptures. If one cannot do that also, then Lord recommends to do Abhyas Rupa. Now practice meditation by again bringing mind on the form of Krishna. And otherwise, one can engage one's gross senses and subtle senses in the service of Krishna, like chanting, reading, hearing, etc. If one can't do that, then Lord says, okay, that means you have no interest in Krishna consciousness, no interest in bhakti. Then at least do Niskam Karma Yoga. And by good fortune, if you happen to meet some devotee, then you will become a devotee. So that is how Lord talks about different levels of bhakti. And now Lord is going to talk about the qualities which make a devotee very, very dear to Krishna. So these qualities, we'll see some qualities in chapter number 13 also. But how are these qualities different? These qualities are qualities of soul. And these are not the qualities of which comes in mode of goodness. So as soon as we come to mode of goodness, we also get some qualities which are mentioned in 13.8 to 12, next chapter. But these are the qualities which are the qualities of soul. And to the degree we have these qualities in our own life, we become very, very dear to Krishna. So the goal of these qualities, or goal which devotees have while developing these qualities, is to become dear to Krishna. So we have to remember this particular point. So we'll start with 13th verse. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirvahankaraha samadukha sukachami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drana nishaya mayarpit mano buddhir yome bhakta same priyaha. Please read.
One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Yeah. So these are the qualities which make one very, very dear to Krishna. So in text number 12, the previous one, Lord talks about a devotee. If a devotee is fully absorbed in the Lord, then he becomes very, very peaceful. Now, What are the qualities of these devotees? So we'll see the later verses that Lord will tell very clearly that those who have developed these qualities are very, very dear to me. But even if those who are endeavoring to develop these qualities are also very dear. So that means if you want to become dear to Krishna, we should also imbibe these qualities. And naturally, those who have these qualities are very, very dear to Krishna. So what are they? Adveshta. Adveshta sarvabhutanam. Dvesh means hatred. So this devotee doesn't have hatred for anyone, even for those who hate him. So even for those who hate him, he doesn't have hatred for them. Then Matra. What to say of hatred? Not having hatred is something neutral. But not just he's at neutral level, he also has friendliness towards all of them. Even towards those who hate him. Now going to a one more deeper level. Lord goes. Karuna. Karuna means not just one is friendly, one is also merciful. Thinking that they should not end up in unfortunate circumstance. That means somehow or the other they should not degrade themselves, they should not suffer in this world. So in this way, a devotee is very merciful to the people, even those who hate him. So these are like really very difficult. But if we imbibe them, we try to imbibe them in our own life, then Krishna will be very happy. But the question comes, but by having what type of discriminating power can one attain that friendliness means metta, that mercy means karuna, even to the enemies, those who are enemies. So what are the qualities which will help one to become merciful and friendly? So what that Krishna says after that. One should not make distinctions at all. Nirmamaha. Nirmama means me and mine. This is me and this is mine. As soon as we have me and mine or I and my, then what happens is anybody who crosses that circle becomes our enemy. When I'm saying I and my, it's like more of on a bodily consciousness level. And that's why Lord says the next line, next word, that is nirahankaraha. Not thinking oneself as self. Now thinking oneself as spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna, servant of Krishna is true ego. That's very good. But thinking oneself in terms of body, sense gratification, then what happens is, then one falls on the bodily platform. Then I and my starts. Things related to body are mine and I am this body. And if one has these qualities, if one is on bodily platform, one cannot have the first three qualities. Adhishta, Sarvabhutana, Metta, Karuna. These three qualities. So in this way, Lord says that my devotee never develops hatred towards others. Why should we accept such distinctions if he wants to reduce suffering produced from hatred? That means he's not a fool, that he doesn't want to have that distinction. He's not a fool that he doesn't want to have that envy. Actually, he's very intelligent. Why is he intelligent? He's intelligent because he knows that hatred creates more trouble for one who develops or one who holds the hatred than towards the one towards whom he is showing the hatred. Now, for example, I have a burning coal in my hand and I wait to beat it to other person of whom I am very envious. So who is going to suffer more? Me or the person towards whom I am envious?
Me, bro.
Me.
Yeah. Why?
Already it is burning.
We are holding more time.
Yeah, we are holding for a long time. So main thing is because we are holding for a long time, we will suffer more than others. So that's why these particular qualities are called anarthas. Anarthas mean unwanted things. Lust, envy, pride, greed, anger, illusion. They create more trouble for oneself than creating trouble towards whom we are directing these anarthas. And devotee is very intelligent. He knows that this is cause of suffering. So he doesn't hold him. Who wants to suffer in this world? Only thing is people don't know how to avoid suffering. Devotees know it. So then the question comes, but then one will be suffering pain in the body by getting punched or kicked by others. At least that suffering will be there. Fine, one may not suffer from envy, etc. But then physical sufferings are there. But then Lord Shiva says about Chitraketu Maharaj, basically directing towards Chitraketu Maharaj, towards all devotee of Narayan. Narayan para sarve nakotaschan vivyati swarg apavarga narkesu apitullata darsana. This is 6, 17, 28. 6 cantos, chapter number 17. I can put in chat box also. Srimad Bhagavatam. 6, 17, 28. So there's a beautiful episode where Chitraketu Maharaj was going through his aeroplane while Lord Shiva was sitting with Parvati on the lap. Parvati was on the lap of Shiva. And he was giving lecture on renunciation to the renunciates. And none of the people were speaking anything because Lord Shiva is such a great personality. But Chitraketu Maharaj, being the devotee of Sankarsan, who saw Sankarsan face to face, so he had, I won't say it's pride, but he forgot that Lord Shiva is also devotee of Sankarsan, he is also devotee of Sankarsan, but Lord Shiva is not Jiva Tattva. So what he did is he just told that such an amazing thing can be done only by Lord Shiva. He's sitting with his wife on the lap and giving lectures on renunciation to the renunciates. So in one way it was a glorification, but Parvati didn't like it. So Parvati cursed him to become a demon. And then Chitraketu Maharaj's response was that he was like, he came down from the airplane, begged forgiveness from Parvati. And then he was telling, I don't mind the suffering. I'm ready to become a demon. But please forgive me for the offenses, which knowingly, unknowingly I have done at your lotus feet. So then when Lord Shiva sees it, then he becomes amazed. He says, Parvati, you're very beautiful, but qualities of devotees are more beautiful than your beauty. And then he speaks one of these verses. That devotees, even if they are sent to hell, just see Chitraketu, he's going to become demon in the next life. So he doesn't mind that. Because only thing which he sees is service to the Lord. That's all. They're interested only in service. That's why Lord speaks our next quality is Samadukha Sukham. Samadukha Sukham is such a devotee should consider happiness and distress equally. Initially, we have to do it as a sadhana. Rather, what he thinks is, I have to endure my prarabdha karmas. Whenever I'm getting pleasure, I'm exhausting my past credits. Whenever I'm suffering, I'm exhausting my impast credits. In this way, a devotee is supposed to think. And ups and downs keep on coming in life. Like just last week, now before that, I was in home and now Delhi. So around for 40 days. So that was like an opulence time. We don't have AC environment like Bangalore here in Calcutta. Calcutta is very hot and humid. So I went in home there was AC. I went to Delhi, they gave me AC room. And now I came here again, hot sun is just behind me. So hot and humid climate again. So ups and downs will keep on coming in life. But then main thing is, we have to see them equally, because ultimately we have to see the service of the Lord. Not that, because there is some suffering at particular place, I'll not stay at that place. Wherever service is there, we do that. So prarabdha karmas. So a lot of my past credits went away. now sufferings are going to, impast credits are going to go away. So chami means one should be tolerant of the suffering. So the way of tolerating things is to understand through philosophy that ultimately it is my own karma coming back to me. Let me not blame the instruments of my karma. Let me not blame them. So that's the way a devotee is supposed to tolerate. It's not just blunt tolerance, it's tolerance along with philosophical understanding. So Santosh Prabhu, what I'll do, I'll speak at least about this verse, then I'll take the, so you keep your hands on, but I'll just take after that. But then the question comes, okay, fine, but how will a devotee be satisfied with whatever comes on its own accord? For example, sometimes he may get very little also. How a devotee will maintain his life. So Lord says Santushta. Santushta means whatever comes on its own accord with little effort, he's satisfied with that. That means he does his duty, whatever his duty is there, hours of duty. Then whatever comes from that, devotee is satisfied, Santushta. But then the question comes that you said that one should be happy in equal in happy and distress. But won't he show his satisfaction when something comes to eat? That time at least one should express one satisfaction. So then Lord says, Satatam Yogi. My devotee being engaged in Bhakti Yoga and constantly working hard to get perfection of Bhakti. He will express his satisfaction on eating only if it is helpful in practice of Bhakti Yoga. That means whatever is required to keep the body and soul together, he will do that. He will not work hard for sense gratification. So then that satisfaction is not bad. That satisfaction will become Krishnaized. Because he is doing that so that he can serve Krishna. That's the main thing. That's a yatatma. That means even if a devotee doesn't get enough food to sustain himself, his mind will be restrained. It will not be agitated. Like we have seen sadhus in North India, they generally sing this song. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram kahiye. Jai Vidi Rakhe Ram, Tai Vidi Rahiye. That means just chant Sitaram, Sitaram and Jai Vidi Rakhe Ram, Tai Vidi Rahiye. However Lord Ram keeps me, I'll stay in that. I'm satisfied. Rather, Dran Nishchaya. Dran Nishchaya means even if, let us say, mind becomes disturbed, he doesn't take to another yoga processes for peace. That I'll go Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Enough of Bhakti. Rather, he continues to practice Ananya Bhakti. In this way, his devotee's devotion towards Krishna doesn't become weakened. What is the cause of all this? How does devotee get such a power? Mai arpit mano buddhir. Because he's absorbed in meditation and contemplation on Lord, that's why devotee becomes so absorbed. That's why devotee gets all these powers. And that's why Lord says, Ma Priya, such a devotee greatly pleases me. So such a devotee pleases Lord like anything, who has all these qualities. Okay. Santosh Prabhu, now we can take your question.
Hare Krishna. As I said, my question is like how one can attain these qualities. And as I said that initially, these are not based on the mode of goodness, and these are qualities of the soul. Is that the one who is become pure devotee of the Lord, only he gets these qualities? The one who is sincerely practicing the devotion service, will he also attain these qualities?
Yeah, so there are two types of pure devotees. One is perfected and one is practicing. So perfected pure devotees automatically have these qualities. But those who are practicing pure devotees have to aspire for these qualities. Because what happens is, to the degree we have these qualities, practice of Krishna consciousness becomes very easy and it also becomes very pleasing to Krishna. Like you must have seen normally also. If you are guiding certain devotees as a senior, as a superior, if this one fellow is always envious of other fellow, he keeps on complaining about him. He's doing this, he's doing that. We also don't feel very nice, na? But a person who is like ready to gel with everyone, friendly with everyone. We like such a person. So if that is true with us, why doesn't it happen with Krishna? So in this way, when we aspire for these qualities, although we may be in mode of passion and ignorance, then Krishna becomes happy that at least he's endeavoring. He's endeavoring to develop these qualities. So that's why for practicing devotees, one has to aspire for it. For perfected devotees, he automatically has it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Just now I mentioned perfected devotees and practicing devotees. Perfected devotees, can you name example? All our acharyas will come into this. Perfected.
All our acharyas, even current devotees, many of the devotees who are, so many pure souls are there in ISKCON. Many of our spiritual masters, and not even those who are not a spiritual master, there are many devotees.
Okay.
So you'll automatically find these qualities in them. And that's the reason they become so attractive.
Okay. Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So, sorry, Prabhuji. Adding to that, practicing devotees who are started chanting Hare Krishna mantra also comes under practicing devotee.
Yes. Practicing is a wide range.
Okay.
Like we are also practicing, a new person may be also practicing. It's a wide range.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So you told for practicing devotees, we need to aspire for those qualities. So aspiration must be how Prabhuji, in which mood we have to aspire. Like
Yeah. So what we should aspire is, I want these qualities because they will make me very dear to Krishna. I want to become dear to Krishna. So let me develop these qualities.
Okay. Like sometimes if we see like devotees, if they are glorified for their qualities, so we will get a wrong aspiration, like when I can become like him, when I will be glorified like that. So instead of that, so I thought of asking, what is a good mood of aspiration in the Krishna consciousness?
So aspiring for good qualities of others is not bad. Aspiring for skills of others is bad. Skills are external. Qualities are good. Like some devotees may be very charismatic speaker. Now, if I'm not charismatic, then I don't have to aspire to become charismatic like him. But I'll also speak in such a way, I will have thousands of views in YouTube and here and there. Hell with all these things. These things will be finished with matter of time. As the body is finished, all these things will finish. Why should I aspire for these things? Or let me sing in such a way that thousands of people clap. What is the use of all these things? They're all nonsense. They're like basically temporary things. But these qualities make one very dear to Krishna, the qualities which we are talking now. So that's why these are the qualities worthy of being aspired for. So if we see these qualities in others, we can also aspire for these qualities. Rather, we can even request them, Prabhu, please bless me so that I can also get these qualities. Because they make us very dear to Krishna. We want to become dear to Krishna. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hari. Okay, Manjunath.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Adding to the question, aspiring to whom? Is it a guru, or our spiritual master, or Lord Krishna and Bala?
All of them are in the same line, na?
So if we aspire with a spiritual master, that also take it to the higher level, right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
See, one thing what we have to understand, that object of love is always Krishna. Object of love is Krishna. And then spiritual master becomes he is very worthy of love because he's a transparent via media between us and Krishna. So we have to be very grateful to spiritual master. But why? Because he has helped us to become connected to Krishna. So certainly sentimental attachment towards spiritual master is good initially. But in due course of time, we have to understand it as to the towards whom we have to direct our love, that's Krishna only. So we should love our spiritual master, we should love our authorities, we should love our senior devotees. Why? Because they are helping us to come closer to Krishna. Otherwise, what happens is sometimes devotees become very sentimental because they don't many times understand the prayers of acharyas. Like one of the prayers of Raghunath Das Goswami is that, my dear Radharani, for me, if you are not there, there's no meaning to devotion service, there's no meaning to even Krishna.
Oh.
Now somebody say, my God, that means, if you were saying only Radharani, we have nothing to do with Krishna. But the point is, when he's saying that, he has already realized his Swarupa. He has realized that he is assistant to Radharani. He is assistant to Lalita Sakhi. So that's why for him, he can't think of worshipping Krishna in any other rasa apart from being in that position. We are not in that position. So when we are not in that position, then what we should do? We should understand and intellectually understand that ultimately we love our spiritual master, we love all our devotees, all other devotees, because they are via media to get connected to Krishna. So initially, faith is good, even if it is sentimental. And because of time, we have to see that connection, pure connection. Otherwise, we will become slag in our own practice of Krishna consciousness. Like somebody may say, okay, I don't like chanting so much. I don't like, worshipping deities so much because I don't have such a personal relationship with Krishna. But fine, I have a lot of faith in Guru and that's enough. That may be initially enough. But because of time, we have to get that taste for chanting. We have to get that taste for visiting Dham, which are pastime place of Krishna. We have to get a taste for worshipping deities, reading Bhagavatam, all these things.
Thank you.
Yes, Paramanantu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Generally, people will see like when bad karma acts on them, so people will react for that. So intuitively they will react that, and some people they will bear it. So if you react towards it, what will happen? If you bear it, what will happen?
See, main thing is if we react immediately, then what happens is we lose the opportunity to become disentangled rather we become entangled. So when we don't respond immediately, rather we see philosophically, then what happens is we come out of bodily consciousness. Because we see ourselves in the right perspective of being part and parcel of Krishna. So that's why the result of, you can see, already we had discussed long before in second chapter. Like this verse is there, Matra Sparsastu Konte Asitosna Sukdukra. Just the verse after that says, if somebody tolerates it, then the result is one becomes liberated. One realizes that I am not body, I am soul. Therefore, such a tolerance is not condemned, it is glorified. Okay? Okay. Now we'll go to other qualities. Yes, man no dujate loko loka no dujate chaya harsa marsa bhayodveger mukto yascha samay priyaha.
Hare Krishna. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety is very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
You can read purport also. These are good purports.
Purport given by Srila Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. A few of devotees' qualifications are further being described. No one is put into difficulty, anxiety, fearfulness, and dissatisfaction by such a devotee. Since a devotee is kind to everyone, he does not act in such a way as to put others into anxiety. At the same time, if others try to put a devotee into anxiety, he is not disturbed. It is by the grace of Lord that he so practiced that he is not disturbed by any outward disturbance. Actually, because a devotee is always engrossed in Krishna consciousness and engaged in devotional service, such material circumstances cannot move him. Generally, a materialistic person becomes very happy when there is something for his sense gratification and his body. But when he sees that others have something for their sense of gratification and he has not, he is sorry and envious. When he is expecting some retaliation from an enemy, he is in a state of fear. And when he cannot successfully execute something, he becomes dejected. A devotee who is always transcendental to all these disturbances is very dear to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So naturally, this is like Prabhupada is writing even from a practice point of view. A devotee doesn't want to put distress to anyone, create anxiety for anyone, create fear for anyone, create dissatisfaction on anyone. That's why sensitivity is very important for devotees. Especially new people, many times when they newly come to Krishna consciousness, they have a lot of enthusiasm, but then sensitivity is not there. So to be sensitive towards people, not to put them in such a situation that you create trouble for them. So this is quality which Krishna likes. Similarly, others cannot disturb him. Why? Because he's so much absorbed in Krishna consciousness that nobody can disturb him. He doesn't have time to address disturbances. So, but the main thing is that we should be sensitive towards others. Not that we create a circumstance on what to say of planning. Planning to create disturbance for others is much more worse. Having a vindictive attitude that I will avenge for whatever happened to me. This is all something very terribly bad. So in this way, similarly, somebody gives sense gratification, he's not very happy. Somebody doesn't give sense gratification, he's not very sorry. So in this way, devotees overcome fear and anxiety also. Why they overcome fear and anxiety? Because they know that no injustice will be done. There is no injustice in this world. Why? Because ultimately Krishna is the supreme controller. Na? Even if I am being fried in hell, I deserve it. It is Krishna system. Krishna system cannot be wrong. It cannot be bad. There's no possibility. So who is responsible for my suffering? I am only responsible for my suffering. So devotee is convinced about it. Let us endure it with a good heart. And once we endure it, everything is temporary in this world. Maximum, how much will things continue? Till this body is there. Or till that subtle body is there. It is not an eternal thing. So let us be grateful and just continue practicing. At least one day will come when I'll go back to God. I'll go back to Krishna. And that's the end of suffering. And to the degree we oppose the suffering, to that degree what happens is suffering also increases. Like you'll find something, one very observable phenomena. Pain or fear is causes more suffering than the pain itself. Like when we anticipate that this will happen, that will happen, then that creates more suffering than the pain itself. So that's why if we happily accept the pain which is going to come, then fine, we can, to large degree, we can overcome the suffering. So we should endeavor. It's not that we should not endeavor. We should endeavor from our own direction to improve our Krishna consciousness and practice. And whatever is needed for practicing Krishna consciousness, we should endeavor very nicely. But at the same time, something which comes on its own accord, we can't help. We should just accept it's my own suffering only. So that's how a devotee can overcome it. So certainly these qualities come automatically by practice of bhakti. So they are difficult. That's why Lord will repeat this same quality in text number 17 also. You'll find 15 and 17, lot of qualities are repeated. Because Lord helps us to understand they are difficult. Despite that, if we try to, or we endeavor to get these qualities, it pleases Krishna, basically. That's the main thing. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Anapeksha suchir daksha udasino gat vyatha sarvarama parityage yo me bhakta same priya. Here also you can read translation as well as purport.
My devotee who is not, sorry, please go on.
My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities who is pure, expert, without case, free from all pains, and not striving for some results, is very dear to me. Purport. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically, by the grace of the Supreme, money comes to him, he is not agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes a bath at least twice in a day and rise early in the morning for devotional service. Thus, he is naturally clean both inwardly and outwardly. A devotee is always expert because he fully knows this essence of all activities of life, and he is convinced of the authoritative scriptures. A devotee never takes the part of a particular party, therefore he is carefree. He is never pained because he is free from all designations. He knows that his body is a designation, so if there are some bodily pains, he is free. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. For example, constructing a big building requires great energy, and a devotee does not take to so much business if does not benefit him by advancing his devotional service. He may construct a temple for a Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxiety, but he does not construct a big house for his personal relations. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah. So, in this way, Lord says that anapeksha means that devotee is devoid of expectations from material work. That means he's endeavoring. Now, result may or may not come in Krishna's hand. As I was saying, devotees for themselves should endeavor in such a way that we should try to collect amenities, situations, families, whatever, which is favorable for Krishna consciousness. At the same time, result may or may not come. Because ultimately, results are in the hand of Krishna only. Udasina means he is unattached to material persons. Or he sees people from spiritual perspective, not from material perspective. Material perspective, generally we see a person, how much is going to give me sense gratification, how is not going to give sense gratification. That's called material perspective. Spiritual perspective means we see in terms of Krishna consciousness and practice of Krishna consciousness. So, Udasina. Sarvaram Parityagi. That means from beginning till end, whatever qualities are going to be favorable to our practice of Krishna consciousness, they will do. He will endeavor for that only, not for other things. So main thing is designation. Once we get into positive designation, all these problems are automatically solved. Sarvapadi Vinirmukta. So designations are very important. Okay, Manjunath.
Hare Krishna ji. Just a question around in the perfect first two lines actually. Yeah, money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically by the grace of Supreme money comes to him, he is not hesitated. Can you explain probably a bit more on this?
That means he doesn't work very hard or too hard for accumulating money. Means one doesn't work so hard that once sadhana is hampered. That is the main criteria. So the whole criteria is sadhana should not be hampered. That's why even Bhakti, Rupa Goswami, he gives instruction: don't make too many disciples, don't build very big temples. But the point is, this will not give us so much anxiety that it affects our own sadhana. In long term or short term. Like recently, I was doing a big mistake. Now, many devotees suggested me for the same thing. So what happened is I was doing nice sadhana nicely. Sadhana in the sense that even whole night I won't get sleep, then I would not come for one program. And Siva is also going. But I had taken so much service that I got spondylosis and a lot of problems were coming. So many devotees chastise me. They don't know you have to reduce your service to 1/6, 1/7. You're taking a lot of services. So then that's called over endeavor. So there can be even over endeavor within Krishna consciousness. So now next month I'm going to just try that only. Reduce my services. So these things also, some things are short term only they create trouble. Short term means in the sense that immediately we'll find they will affect our sadhana. But suppose we are very strict in sadhana, then if body is suffering or family relationships are suffering, we are not spending enough time for with the family, then they boomerang, then they create trouble for us. Not immediately, but in due course of time. So that is why even those things are very important. So main thing is things should go in balance. As soon as we take extreme step at one place, other things suffer. But generally what happens is we become excited by maybe fame or some other thing. Or out of pride, we are not humble enough many times. If we are humble enough, we understand, no, we are ordinary people. We have to go by balance only. So then that is the main thing. So main thing is have a perfect balance. So don't give up your sadhana, don't give up your health, don't give up your family relationships. Then earning money also important for grasta. You can't give up that occupation also. It's like car, all four things are there. So grastas, their car can go on all these four wheels. Either of these things suffer, you suffer like anything. So there is a balance required.
One very basic question, sadhana means exactly, can you give in terms, Prabhu? What is sadhana? I mean,
see, there is minimum quota which Prabhupada has given.
Can you explain, Prabhu?
Now this depends on circumstances. We can ask our personal authorities. Like for brahmachari, it is fixed.
Okay.
For me, it is fixed that 4:30 to 9 is my time for sadhana. So that's why I think this is the only class which I'm taking in morning time in the week. And that too, otherwise I would be attending Bhagavatam class or giving Bhagavatam class there. Otherwise, no, even if we don't sleep whole night, we come for morning program. That's compulsory for a brahmachari. Now for grastas, life is very tight, or sometimes kids come. So there are ups and downs in life for grastas. So then they should consult their authority and they should ask, what sadhana should I do? Once your things are fixed, just continue with that.
No, my question is general, Prabhu, not with respect to a particular devotee. I mean, like, I understand that Srila Prabhupada was given minimum 16 rounds has to be has to done. That's one point. Reading like 10 minutes or half an hour or for 1 hour depends on the individual devotee time and adjustment. And hearing also the similar fashion, and service also. So here, what exactly Srila Prabhupada has mentioned for all the Grihastha devotees, this one, 16 rounds, I understand that 10 in the general I'm asking, reading how much time and hearing how much time, service in the terms that, as you mentioned for brahmacharis, it's clearly, but what exactly mentioned for Grihastha devotees in the Srila Prabhupada?
Let me be very truthful to you. During Prabhupada times, there was no concept of congregation.
Okay.
During Prabhupada time, the only concept was there was full-time grastas or brahmacharis.
Okay.
So whatever was applicable for brahmacharis also was applicable for full-time grastas. Anybody staying in temple has to come for morning program, 4:30 and Mangal. So all these things are fixed actually. So that's why this concept of congregation has evolved. You can say maybe after 1980s, mid 1980s. So that's the best person to ask is to ask our spiritual master.
Okay.
Because when we say Prabhupada times concept was different.
Okay.
Like na Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, he was telling about his experience. He was telling, I would be surprised to see when all these people were so sincere in practice of Krishna consciousness that they would come, chant Hare Krishna whole night, and morning they would go home. So then he was saying that I would think if they are so serious in Krishna consciousness, then should stay in temple only. Why do they go out? So for them, he was telling that no, for me to fit that idea of congregation preaching took a lot of time. But during Prabhupada time, that concept was there. So the point is when you see our congregations, like you have to ask current acharyas. Prabhupada has given some basic principles, and now we have to ask our spiritual master what to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Some spiritual masters have given very clear instructions. Some are like, some say that no, ask our Siksha gurus. So there are different things for different. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Kalyan Pro. Okay, here I can openly ask. There's no problem in that. A Grasta counselor should be Grasta only, or is there any exception? Actually speaking, ideally Grasta counselor should be Grasta. But then the real practical problem in the ISKCON scenario is, especially in the new projects, you don't have. Like, no, I am struggling like anything for this. So I had a lot of my counselees who are like Grasta counselees, and I want to connect them to some senior Grastas. But then I found no, in their families also some problem is going on. So rather they came and told, no, Prabhuji, what to say of counseling? We want your counseling. So the ideal situation is, so one man has to sacrifice. That is how it happens. One person at the top, some brahmachari, sannyasi, somebody, he has to guide some grastas. He has to train them. And then these people can in turn train other people. So even if you ask about Hisulna Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, like in Mayapur, so some of his disciples who are very close to me here, they were having some trouble. So then Maharaj trained some couples. So then he gave me their phone numbers and he told that, no, you guide. Similarly about Radhanath Maharaj, he has trained around 20 couples. And they are like super counselors, and then they guide other counselors in turn. So main thing is somewhere it has to start from ground order only. Unless until somebody is like a senior full-time grasta since very long time. That is very good actually. That's the best. Because they can more relate with the problem of the grastas. So grasta, guiding grasta is very good. If not, then what to do? Whatever is there, we have to work with that only. Like generally, na, brahmachari should join at 5. But then you wake up at 20 or 25, then what to do? Whenever you wake up, start Krishna consciousness. So the age at which person should enter in grasta life, we entered in brahmacharya ashram. So then type of troubles come. Type of troubles are different. So then many brahmachari change at 40, 45, there is like a hue and cry in the congregation. What to do? This fellow entered at 25. He would have entered at 5. No, then he would have become grasta 2025. He would have not made such a issue. But what to do? Kali Yuga is like that. He's entering only at 25. Then no, at 40, 45, he understands that now my subtle body is not enough to accommodate all these austerities. He goes out, you are making such a cry. So what can we do? So same thing for grastas also. Grastas should take guidance from grastas. You don't have anything what to do. Hang over to some brahmachari or sannyasi.
At least Puram Yatra is so lucky, Prabhu. Medalli Puram, and we have a combination of both. So we are getting both the guidance.
That's good.
Just for the clarification purpose, I asked, but we don't have any lack of this counseling. We have both.
Yeah. We don't have such a system here because we are evolving. So we are just starting. We just started 2 years back.
Okay.
So you are very fortunate.
Yes, bro. Seriously, we are fortunate. Yeah.
Initially, it happened. That's what I'm saying. Some people have to sacrifice. Some sacrifice to be there. Then other people, things just continue. And ISKCON being an expanding movement. So maybe 100 years from now, where there will be temple and temples all over the world. Then another 20 years, it will take to evolve some grastas. Then we can confidently speak. Yeah, grastas should take counseling only from grastas. Currently, because things are just expanding. Any new project, this trouble will come. Okay, let us come back. Now 17th. Yo na hrisati na dveshti na sochati na kanchati subha subha parityagi bhakti man yasa me priya. Please read the translation as well as purport.
Hare Krishna.
One
One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspiciousness and inauspiciousness things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor he is very much anxious to get a son or disciple, nor he is distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of inauspicious and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risk for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in this discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So devotee is not very anxious to get followers and disciples, etc. And if he doesn't get them, he doesn't become distressed. He doesn't lament. Amazing thing. No, like you can read this like something out of box statement. He is transcendent in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful activities. What it means is a devotee may be struggling sometimes, even struggling with a sinful activity. And he wants to come out of it. It's not that he doesn't want to come out of it. He wants to come out of it. But somehow his urges and mind and senses are so contaminated that they are not allowing him to come out. In that case, what he does, he becomes transcendental in the sense that even such situations are very bad, he doesn't stop taking shelter of spiritual processes. Even if such situations are there, I'll chant my 16 rounds very sincerely. I'll do my reading, hearing, my program, whatever is there, very sincerely, I'll associate with the devotees. And I have seen those devotees who have been consistent and for years together. So some of even my counselees, they took around more than a decade, 10, 12 years to come out, but they came out finally. One of my counselees just coming out. It's like, just now I'm very happy. But I really appreciate because he was very consistent throughout the whole journey of his Krishna consciousness. So in this way, whatever happens, devotee know that this fever of sense gratification or desire for sense gratification will go away in some point of time. Because I'm taking medicine of Krishna consciousness. So let me continue taking medicine of Krishna consciousness. One day it will go away. If not this life, then next life, not that next life, then some other life. It will go away at a point of time. So devotees should never compromise with taking medicine of Krishna consciousness. So that's very important. Subha asubha paritagi. She gives up all sinful and pious actions. It's another way of taking it. That he doesn't see this is auspicious, this is inauspicious. And he does whatever is required for Krishna consciousness. Whatever is required for practice of Krishna consciousness. Now, some of our acharyas have taken very extreme step in that. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he would either himself or he will make BDs available for people who are constructing so that they can do construction of Gaudiya Math. It's very extreme step. Because he knew if these fellows, they don't smoke BD, they will not do construction only. So he said, okay, fine. If they want BD, then let them go BDs. So this may be looking sinful from one point of view. Now certainly we should not imitate such acharyas, but the point is that whatever is required for practicing Krishna consciousness, flourishing Krishna consciousness, one has to do. One is to do that. So main thing is service of Krishna. Now certainly some people maybe have smoken BD for making Gaudiya Math. But when the preaching expands, so many people will give up BD also. So ultimately in long-term point of view, it will be beneficial. So even from a sin and piety point of view, it is beneficial. So the devotee doesn't care for all these things. He just cares for service of Krishna. At the same time, one doesn't do for one's own sense gratification, one does it for pleasure of Krishna. Sama satro cha mitre cha tatha manapamaneyo shitoshna sukha dukkhesu sama sanga vivarjitaha tulya ninda satur mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketa sthir matir Bhaktiman me priyo naraha. Please read.
One who is equal, one who is equal to friends and enemies, and who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotion service. Such a person is very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Purport also you can read.
Yeah. Purport given by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A devotee is always free from all bad association. Sometimes one is praised and sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. But a devotee is always transcendental to the artificial fame and infamy, distress and or happiness. He is very patient. He should not speak of anything but the topics about Krishna. Therefore, he is called silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only of essentials. And the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get very palatable foodstuffs, sometimes not, but he is satisfied. Nor does he care for any residential facility. He may sometimes live underneath a tree, and he may sometimes live in a very palatable building, palatable building. He is attracted to neither. He is called fixed, but he is fixed in his determination and knowledge. We may find some repetition in the descriptions of the qualifications of a devotee, but this is just to emphasize of the fact that a devotee must acquire all these qualifications. Without good qualifications, one cannot be a pure devotee. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahat kunaha. One who is not a devotee but has no good qualification, one who wants to be recognized as the devotee should develop the good qualifications. Of course, he does not externally endeavor to acquire this qualification, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him to develop them. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So one aspires for it, one practices, one gets it. One doesn't have to externally endeavor means make whole plan how to become this, how to become that. Automatically, when situation comes, act humbly, act be tolerant. So that's a simple way. So Sthirmati, this basically verse focuses on steadiness of mind. That among all the situations, one is very steady in mind. One is very fixed. Whatever may happen, world may turn over, my situation may turn over, relatives may turn over, whatever may happen, I'll remain fixed in my practice of Krishna consciousness. So that's the main thing. But one very important thing we'll see, whether it is 17th or verse 19th or 16th, 15th, all these verses, everywhere Krishna is mentioning about Yo me bhakta samay priya, bhaktiman me priyo naraha. That means these qualities, when they are not present, they are present in the non-devotees, they are not very dear to Krishna. Only when these qualities are present in devotees, they become dear to Krishna. Because for other people who are not devotees, these qualities may be there because of mode of goodness, but they have chance to become degraded. They may be even called demigods, they may further degrade into demons. But for devotees, they regularly make progress in practice of Krishna consciousness. That's why these qualities are like very, 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 very dear to Krishna. So that is some very central thing we should see. Now, last one. Ye tu dharmamritam idam yathoktam paryupasate sadhana matparama bhaktaste ati me priyaha. Please read translation purport.
Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this chapter, from verse 2 through the end, from Maya Vesha Mano Emam, fixing the mind on me through Yetu Dharma Pratam Idam, this religion of eternal engagement. The Supreme Lord has explained the process of transcendental service for approaching Him. Such processes are very dear to the Lord, and He accepts a person engaged in them. The question of who is better, one who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman, or one who is engaged in the personal service of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of the Godhead, was raised by Arjuna. And the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service to the personality of the Godhead is the best of all processes of spiritual realization. In other words, in this chapter, it is decided that through good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service and thereby accepts a bona fide spiritual master. And from him begins to hear and chant and observe the regulative principles of devotional service with faith, attachment, and devotion, and thus becomes engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This path is recommended in this chapter. Therefore, there is no doubt that devotional service is the only absolute path for self-realization, for the attainment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonal conception of Supreme Absolute Truth, as described in this chapter, is recommended only up to the time one surrenders himself for self-realization. In other words, as long as one does not have the chance to associate with a pure devotee, the impersonal conception may be beneficial. In the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, one works without fruitive result, meditates and cultivates knowledge to understand spirit and matter. This is necessary as long as one is not in the association of a pure devotee. Fortunately, if one develops directly a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness is in pure devotional service, it does not need to undergo step-by-step improvements in spiritual realization. Devotional service, as described in the middle 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, is more congenial. One need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together, because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purpose to the 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. So, what Lord speaks here, that ultimately who practices, who follow this path of devotion service is very, very dear to me. So that's why he's mentioned our devotees only. So devotees who have developed these qualities are very dear to Krishna. But even if those who are endeavoring are better than other people. So what happens when we hear about these qualities? We develop a desire to develop them. So that's why hearing about these qualities is also very beneficial. So there are certainly qualities arising from bhakti. Yetu dharma amritam idam. So this is dharma, amrit dharma. Amrit dharma means which is eternal. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga is not practiced in the spiritual world. It is practiced only in material world. Only bhakti is the one which is practiced in the spiritual world also. That's why it's called dharma amritam idam. So in this way, these qualities, they are liked by Krishna. They please Krishna like anything. So Krishna is pleased by bhakti, not by material qualities. Bhaktya tusati Krishno na gune hai. This is from 11th canto. That Krishna is pleased by bhakti, not by material qualities. So in this chapter, we discussed about initially, Arjuna asked, which is better, impersonalist or personalist? Krishna said the path of impersonal liberation is very, very troublesome. Whereas when devotees are concerned, they don't have to worry about it. I worry about their liberation. I worry to take them back to Godhead. Then Lord talks about different levels of bhakti. Best is Manatmaka bhakti, where one's mind is totally absorbed in Krishna. Second best is deliberating on the scriptures, Mananatmaka bhakti. Somebody cannot do that Abhyas Rupa. Abhyas Rupa means one brings mind again on Krishna's form, name, qualities, pastimes. Somebody cannot do, he should use his senses in serving Krishna. If somebody cannot do, Lord says, at least practice Niskam Karma Yoga. Although it's not bhakti, but by fortune, if you get devotee, then you may later on take up to bhakti. And then later on, after that, Lord talks about all these qualities which we discussed. When they're present in the devotee, devotee becomes very, very dear to Krishna. So this is the whole chapter ends. So this bhakti is superior and supreme and blissful, is attained by all people. It is easy to perform and is filled with astonishing qualities. So although bhakti is like grape juice, karma, gyan, etc., or transcendental knowledge like neem juice, still there will be some people who will drink neem juice. They will not drink grape juice. So that's why although Lord declares very boldly in Bhagavad Gita that bhakti is the best path, there will be people who will not take up to bhakti. So that's something which is expected. We should not be surprised. Okay, Santosh Prabhu has a question, and then I'll tell about summary of this chapter.
Prabhuji, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions the association of a pure devotee. Could you please enlighten on that, Prabhu?
You can tell me the...
Like, how can we like associate of pure devotees of the Lord, like in our life, day-to-day life? Like, how can we?
Okay. When we read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we are associating with Krishna or his pure devotees. Because what is Bhagavatam all about? Bhagavatam is also about pure devotee only. And association basically means hearing. Hearing, understanding their mood. That's the meaning of association. Association doesn't mean that no, you sit next to another devotee and take prasad. That's okay. But then while taking prasad, when you do Krishna Katha, that's very important. Or one time in one temple, no, 5-6 devotees together, they went for movie. Association of devotees. You can't call it association of devotees. Association of devotees means when devotion, service and Krishna is center. Then it's called association of devotees. So that's why when we read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we are associating with pure devotees only. We see their qualities, we aspire for their qualities. Okay. Okay. So in these 6 chapters, in chapter number 7, so chapter number 6 ended with that bhakti is better than other yogas. Yogi nama api sarvesa mad gatin antaratma. Saddhavan bhastu mam saim me yog tamamata. So one who practices devotion service beginning with Atu Shraddha, Lord says he is best among all the yogis. Now, chapter number 7 began with 6 types of bhakti. One was pure devotion service in verse number 1. Last verses were about person who is so-called devotee in the sense he practices devotion service to get Brahman and he gets Brahman. Jara Marana Mokshaya, those verses. And Krishna talked about 4 types of people. Artho, Arthati, Jigyasu are called Karmisra Bhaktas. Jnani mentioned there is Gyan Misra Bhakta. Chapter number 8, Lord talks about Yog Misra Bhakta. Chapter number 6, Yogi is Yog, he's called Ashtanga Yogi. Because he wants to enter in Brahman. But this Yog Misra Bhakta, he wants to enter Vaikuntha and become a sweet of the Lord. So that's why he's pretty superior. He wants personal relationship with the Lord. So chapter number 8, chapter number 9 and 10 talk about pure devotion service. So the essence of Bhagavad Gita is in middle 6 chapters. It is talking about bhakti. Essence of all these chapters is in 9 and 10. Last verse of 9th chapter is very important. It is the only verse which is repeated 2 times. Manvana Bhava Mad Bhakta. And the essence of Bhagavad Gita is given in the Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. So I think it's 10.7. No, 10.8, 9, 10, 11. These 4 verses, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they talk about Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. Chapter number 11, Arjuna wanted to see the form of the Lord, which is all the vibhutis explained in the previous chapter. In chapter number 10, Lord also talks about vibhutis. His various opulences, how he pervades in the world. Because by understanding how Lord pervades in the world, one can always remember the Lord and one can develop that dasa bhav. And my Lord is so great, I should become a servant. So then Arjuna got a desire to see that form, which was inspired by Krishna himself. So Arjuna took darshan of 2 forms. Vishwarup darshan. Well, everything beyond space was visible at one place, and Kal Roop, where everything present in the past, present, and future was visible at the same time. So he took that darshan. Later on, he becomes very disturbed. He offers prayers to the Lord, and Lord shows two type of forms: Swam Rupa and Swakam Rupa. 400 form, which is mixed with opulence and sweetness. Form of Vishwarupa's only greatness, no sweetness. It was creating disturbance for Arjuna. But then sweetness and greatness together. And then 200 form, which is totally filled with sweetness only. This is how chapter number 11 ended. Chapter number 12 began with Arjuna's question about which is better, personal and impersonal. Lord says that person is, Bhakta is better. Impersonal path is very troublesome. Then Lord talked about different levels of bhakti, which we had just discussed. And then after, at the end, Lord talks about qualities which make devotee very dear to Krishna. So that's how 12 chapters end. Chapter number 13, Lord will talk about Gyan, which is required to be detached from this world so that one can become attached to Krishna. And before that, we will have very good time. We will have exams. So I don't know when Many Mother Prabhu was there now. I think he is gone. So he'll make some announcements about exams. How many Mother Prabhu is there? Yes, still there.
I'm there too.
Yeah, so Vinny Mother Prabhu will make, not now, maybe on your WhatsApp group, he'll make some announcements for your further exams, which are very, very dear to devotees. Devotees are very anxious to give exams. So we'll have that, and then after that we'll start with chapter number 30.
Prabhu, actually devotees was asking, like one time they want one session, like doubt clarification.
Okay.
Last time also they asked. I'll check with all devotees.
Next week we can have just doubt clarification. That's all.
So before that, all devotees can go back and do your notes and whatever, read it out. So come with the questions so that Prabhu can clarify all your doubts. It will be nice in one stretch. All 6 chapters Prabhu will cover it up. Whatever doubts you have this session, so that it will be useful for all of us.
Yeah.
Prabhu, this weekend Narsimha Chaturdasi, and then next week we'll take a question and answer session, and maybe I'll speak with you. Whatever you suggest, accordingly.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Chil Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, please everybody prepare. So this is a nice time. Whatever questions you have, you can ask either in the first part of Bhagavad Gita or second part of Bhagavad Gita. Because once we move to the next, it becomes a more burden. If you ask question also, Prabhu may say that already I explained. So now this is the devotional era, whatever the 7 to 12. It's a very, very important. I'll buy some more time also for your exams, so that you can go through it, all the purports and all those things. Wherever you get doubt, please, write it down doubts. See, this is Bhakti Shastra means it's a systematic study. We need to spend time. So whenever we hear lecture, we feel that, okay, this is the doubt. You can ask the doubt, but the doubt should come out of your reading. So when you read properly, and you will get the doubts, okay, why it is yogi, and every time says that yoga is the devotee, yogi is the devotee. What is the difference between yogi and the devotee? So all those things you get clarified. In 6th chapter, yogi means Ashtanga yogi. Now Prabhu was telling 8th chapter yogi means it's a bhakti yogi. So like that. So just there are the yogis in all chapters, but they are karma yogis and jnana yogis and bhakti yogis. There are difference. So like that, please go through it and read. Then you will get a lot of clarity. And this questions, we should raise the questions. If devotees are asking question, class also goes in a very nice. If none of you ask questions, just normal way, whatever supposed to give, they'll give and keep moving. So ask the questions. At least next class 2 hours we'll be having, 1.5 hours we'll be having. So please prepare and write it down all the questions and come. We can ask 1.5 hours. We can clear it up. Not only 7 to 12, even 1 to 6 chapters, if you have doubt also, Prabhu, I had this doubt in that. So please clarify, you will clarify. Okay. So thank you so much. I think at least some 25 devotees should qualify Bhakti Sastri from Puram. Now it has come to 23, 24, 25 is attending sessions. So please continue and clear it. Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So we can end.